Imagine taking out a loan and using cheese as collateral. That's not a joke, it really happens in Italy, and in this video we're going to look at why. Please do subscribe if you haven't already, it really helps this small channel grow. The system is centered around the famous Parmesan cheese produced in northern Italy. Making the cheese creates a slightly unusual financial problem for producers because they have to wait a long time before they can actually sell what they've made. A wheel of Parmesan has to mature for at least 12 months before it can officially become the finished product, with higher quality Parmesan being aged for 2, 3 or even 4 years. This means producers can have huge amounts of money tied up in cheese that is literally sitting in a warehouse waiting to mature. That creates a cash flow problem because the producer still needs to pay employees, buy milk and keep the business running, even though a large proportion of their assets can't be sold yet. This is where the Credem Bank comes in, because the bank has been lending money against Parmesan for decades, with the cheese effectively acting as collateral for the loan. Instead of the bank simply trusting the producer's estimate of how much their cheese is worth, the wheels can be stored in specialised warehouses where they're inspected, monitored and looked after while they mature. The scale of this is pretty impressive, with Credem's warehouses having held hundreds of thousands of wheels at a time, and the total value of the cheese involved running into hundreds of millions of euros. The reason this works is that Parmesan isn't some random commodity that could suddenly become worthless, because its production is tightly regulated and there's an established market for the finished product. This means the bank has a reasonably predictable asset sitting behind the loan. The bank also doesn't normally lend the entire value of the cheese, which gives it some protection if prices fall or the producer runs into trouble. And if the borrower eventually defaults, the cheese can theoretically be sold to recover the money. What's especially interesting is that the system has been modernized as well, with digital records and blockchain technology being used to track cheese that's being used as collateral. This means you can essentially have a modern financial system built around something that is still fundamentally a wheel of Parmesan. The reason this unusual system attracts more attention sometimes is that extreme heat in recent Italian summers is creating another problem for the industry. These warehouses need carefully controlled temperatures and humidity because storing millions of euros worth of cheese in extreme summer temperatures isn't exactly something you can leave to chance. The higher temperatures mean more electricity is required to keep the warehouse operating properly. So while the idea of a bank accepting Parmesan as collateral sounds ridiculous at first, there's actually a fairly sensible piece of finance underneath it. The cheese has a real market value. It can be physically stored and inspected, and in many cases it becomes more valuable as it gets older, which makes it a surprisingly good form of collateral. Would you like to see more options like this for collateral when taking out a loan, or is this a disaster waiting to happen with summers getting warmer? Let me know down in the comments, and please do subscribe if you've enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.